Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name's EJ Marino and this is About Last Night, the show where I talk about the movie I saw last night. Though, if you've been following me, you know what this episode is all about. Yes, I am talking about episode 7 of American Horror Story Apocalypse.
American Horror Story Apocalypse.
Episode 7, which is titled Traitor, feels like a bit of a traitor to me. After last week's amazing episode, this feels like a little bit of a letdown. Is that inevitable because we returned to Murder House, we had all of this amazing backstory, and now this episode I'm just like, well, that was okay. And that, I guess that's the weird American Horror Story problem where like some episodes are so good and so high up, where then you get an episode like this that is a perfectly okay episode, but it just comes off, well, last week was cooler, or the week before that was wild, and this one I'm just like, well, we got a lot of backstory, which is what we've been doing for a while now. A lot of backstory, a little bit more pieces in play, a return of a character I didn't think I would see. I enjoyed this episode, but is it anything like the episodes we've gotten previously? No, this feels more like filler than everything else. And I don't mean that as an insult. People take the word filler as a bad word in TV. I think filler's okay as long as it gives me, I keep going back to it, as long as I get a good snack from this. I didn't get my full meal last week. Like, last week was a buffet for Horror Story fans. This week was more of just like a snack bar. We had a couple good little nuggets to, bite on, but next week, I want next week to just scalp me again, because this season has been great. More episodes like this would just kind of bring me down a little bit more. My other interesting talking point that I noticed from this episode, before we dive into the full play-by-play, there was no Michael Langdon in this episode. That's a choice. Is it a great choice? I don't know. This close to the end, I kind of want my villain there every episode. But at the same time, this was a great episode to focus on our heroes. We learned a lot of what our heroes, all the witches in the Coven, some of the Voodoo queens, like a little bit of everybody, has been playing the game. And I'm glad we know the game. I'm glad we know what happened to the Warlocks, what happened to John Henry, what about Miss Mead. I'm glad all this happened, but without Michael around, I did feel there was a little bit of a gap in this episode. I did feel that I was just like, but when do we cut to see what the devil's doing? Like, I like his story, it's fun. So, hit or miss with that. I do enjoy that they had an episode focused on the heroes, but this late in the game, I want my villain to be villainy as villains can get. That's like, okay, in a crazy movie, like a superhero movie, we're doing a Batman movie, and then the last little bit, the Joker leaves before the finale, and you're just like, but where did you go? You had so much story to build. That's my thing here. Michael still has so much story to tell that to take an episode off, to me, could hurt things, could hurt the flow. But next week does seem like a full-on Michael Langdon in the boys' school episode. Satan school, Satan boys' school. Sounds like a dream. But yeah, I'm actually really excited to see what happens next week. But having him none in this week, it feels weird. His presence was there. We know Michael Langdon had that influence of this episode. But for him not to be there, I am still a little bit disappointed in that. But you know what didn't disappoint me? Do you know what I loved about this episode? The Voodoo intro. I am a big fan of Voodoo. I actually liked the whole Marie Laveau side of Coven way more than I liked the Witches of Coven. As much as I enjoyed it, I liked the whole season, but I like Voodoo. I'm from the South. Yes, Florida is like South adjacent. It's their own different kind of South. That's where I'm from. Oh, you guys learned something about me. But yeah, I like Voodoo. It's something in my culture. I'm Spanish. We have Bruja. I'm interested in this stuff. So to go back to the world of Voodoo was great. And to go into the world of Voodoo now run by Dinah. So after Coven, Marie Laveau has died. We need a new Voodoo queen. It is Dinah. Though in this day and age, Dinah's like, what am I going to do? She was running a hair salon and was struggling for her whole life. What am I doing? Dana decides to do what I think is one of the most interesting things. She turns Voodoo into like Avon or Mary Kay or like Herbalife. She's like going door to door, selling these to all the white people, being like, oh, do you need some Voodoo? Do you got an ex you want to fight? Do you got some bitch that's trying to steal your man? I got you. What a great business that is. Do I think it's demeaning to like the world of Voodoo? Yes, but a woman needs to eat. A woman needs to make sure her Voodoo tribe and her whole group is working well. And she's doing that. I believe Dinah is doing what she should. Is it weird to see her like go to door, sell these like white women this like kind of voodoo magic? It's weird, but also accurate. I like the whole idea when she was just like, well, they call me now because they don't want to culturally appropriate. Like, stuffy white women are so scared of being called racist that they're going to like calling people to do voodoo instead of doing them themselves. That's the Ryan Murphy commentary I enjoy. That's those little bit of reality in these situations that I'm like, yeah, I like you, Ryan. I like you a lot. What was also cool about the Dinah beginning is we got to see Cordelia reach out to her. Cordelia being like, girl, there is some stuff happening. I know I'm the most powerful witch in the land, but like I need your help. More than your help, I need you to contact Papa Legba for me. Oh my God, as a Coven fan, as a fan of voodoo, as a fan of horror story, I like that so much. Papa Legba returning was amazing. Basically, Cordelia's trying to make a deal with Papa Legba. Dinah does all her old rituals. She gives him, I think, a little bit of Hennessy, a little bit of a Cuban cigar. Here, Papa Legba, come. I'm not going to give you a baby like you usually ask for. No, no. So basically, Dinah calls him. Cordelia's like, hey, Legba, can you help me out? He's like, oh, there's an issue. I know what you're about to say. We have Antichrist, Satan baby, you know, I know him, we're good friends, blah, blah. It was weird. He like knew all about Langdon. He knew all about what was happening. But my question with that is, what the hell's Papa Legba gonna do? In the grand scheme of things, he's like the doorman to hell. He's the bouncer at the club being like, I'm gonna let you in. I'm gonna let you in. I'm gonna let you in. Nah, you ain't getting in. Against Michael, what the hell's Papa Legba gonna do? They're basically trying to set up a coup where, like, you know, Cordelia's like, we'll get him close to the edge, and you just grab him and use him. And Legba's like, ooh, that could get me in trouble. Like, I have a higher up, Satan, to deal with. I can't be dealing with you. I think so interesting. And basically, he's like, I'll do it for you, I guess. I still don't think he could do it. I'll do it for you, but like, I want all of your girls. I want all of the witches in the Coven. Why? Because I have one I love, and it's the return of Nan. Oh my God, I'm so happy to see her. I was really upset when she wasn't in the Return of Murder House, and I got it though, Addie didn't die in the house, fine. But when they were doing all these Return to Coven and there was no Nan. Yes, I knew she died, and I knew Cordelia and Marie Laveau unfortunately sacrificed her to Papa Legba. But I was just like, we found a way to get Misty and Myrtle, but what about her? She's back, and she's like Satan's little helper. She was so cute in this episode, her being like, oh, I have fun doing this. Like, I'm having fun down there. Like, we're doing good. Papa Legba's nice to me. I'm doing good. What about you, Cordelia? What you gonna do? You wanna sacrifice your girls? Let me have my friends. That was so evil and manipulative. I like actually this whole Papa Legba intro. This was such a good start to the episode. I will say it keeps up steam. I still enjoyed what happens in this episode, but this beginning, I was hooked. From like the weird like dissection to get the heart out, to the Papa Legba stuff, to the return of Nan, to finding out Cordelia as like, oh, I know the risks. I've done stuff like this before. We find out that basically she used like weird voodoo or some dark magic to bring back Myrtle. That's why she's dying and rotting earlier. This intro packed in a lot. And I'm so happy to see that. I am so happy that this episode started off strong. That's a big praise for this season. Things are starting off strong and great, and I'm so happy to see that. After all of the Papa Legba stuff, which I'm upset that I didn't get him the whole episode, but after all of that, we jump straight into an older movie, Christmas to Dismember. Oh my God, this like 70s exploitation style throwback. I was just like, what is this? But what is this? But Joan Collins? Oh my God. So Joan Collins, she was playing Evie earlier. If you remember her in The Outpost, she was Mr. Galliant's grandmother. Interesting stuff there. What's really interesting is Evie's not really even her name. We call her Bubbles now. Bubbles McGee is the actress she plays, and she is also a witch. What? Like this to me, as soon as I found out that Bubbles is a witch, it goes to me thinking, Cordelia has been playing the game since our first episode. She's basically sent all these witches in here as like sleeper cells. They're like spies to work in the Outpost 3 to know exactly what was gonna happen. They were like, we need to put the witches here. We know Langdon's gonna come up, but none of you guys are gonna remember what it is. I'm excited when that gets explained, but now it's starting to make sense that all these people we met at the beginning were placed there for a reason, and that is so juicy. Which also maybe explains the Gallant Langdon connection. Maybe he was somebody that Langdon threw there. I'm really interested in that. But let's go back to Bubbles McGee and December to Dismember. I would watch this movie every Christmas. It would be a must-see for me. I loved it. Such a cool little scene. But what was even cooler was seeing her work with Madison Montgomery a little bit later. Basically, she's on set on break. Madison comes up and says, "Hey ho, you've been summoned. I need you to get off this little trashy set." And Evie, or Bubbles, is like, "Oh, at least I'm on a set. You're back from the dead. Yay." Really fun, bitchy banter there. I liked it. But it got even better when basically Madison's like, "Oh, hey, we need to go have dinner. We need to regroup. We need you." They go to dinner with Myrtle, Madison, and Bubbles. I wanted a spinoff with Behold last week. Now this week, I want a whole Bubbles and Madison. I just want Madison to run this show because she's so great with every character. Her stuff with Bubbles was great. Her stuff with Myrtle, basically trying to get these two older women to be like, "Stop dreaming about the past. Let's get right here. We have the Antichrist. Let's deal with him." Madison being this mature adult this season. I love this season so much. So much is happening that I'm like, that needed to happen. Well, that needed to happen. But what also needed to happen was them going back to the school. So Evie, Bubbles, and Myrtle decide to go to Hawthorne. They go to all boys Hogwarts and go, "Hey, let's find out some stuff about them." But we jump to the Coven, which is so great. We basically do officially find out Mallory is just Jesus. Mallory has the power to save lives, to bring people back. It's a little gorier, like someone's choking. She like opens their neck, goes into it, gets it out. I was just like, well, that's graphic, but you're amazing. Is Mallory our new Supreme? Do I have two Supremes to hail? Because I still think Langdon's great. I still think Mallory's great. I don't mind having two Supremes. I don't mind having an Alpha and a Supreme. Kind of like the Star Wars universe. Do we always have to have the light and the dark side? Can we meet in the middle? Can Mallory and Langdon like be the middle ground? Like decide to not be that evil, but I'm curious, but Mallory as this like Jesus-like figure, as the new Supreme is amazing. It explains why Cordelia is aging even more rapidly. It explains why she's so important and why she like fronted up on Langdon in the earlier episodes. I like this inclusion of Mallory being this powerful witch, this maybe even more than that. A lot of you guys have been giving me suggestions of what she is, kind of like an angel. I like that. I think that's a great idea. You guys commenting that down below is so amazing. It's giving me even more fan theories. Not so shockingly, Myrtle and Bubbles goes to Hawthorne, figures out that the two of the warlocks are basically planning to kill them. They kill John Henry. That whole dinner scene had some great shade, had some good lines, but didn't really do much other than the John Henry, now they realize, ooh, one of the warlocks is dead, which then leads to one of my favorite moments. They decide to bring John Henry back. Who's gonna do it? They get all of his ashes after Miss Mead burned him alive. They get all his ashes together. Mallory brings him back. That is her final step in the Supremeness as well. That was so amazing to see Mallory just basically take all these ashes and bring into a human, and he came back angry, confused, but angry, and now he's on a mission. I loved everything about this moment as well. I like that now we have what to me is, the word traitor is a weird title for this episode, because maybe he's the only traitor, because maybe him and Behold, because there's no one really trading. There's him being like, they hurt me, I'm hurting them. A great moment. And I love when Cordelia basically walked into Hawthorne and was like, they were like, "Oh, you're losing your power. Michael's the new Supreme," and she like shuts them up, literally closes their mouth and goes, "I'm losing my what?" Bitch said, "What?" Like Cordelia was on fire this episode. This is the kind of planning I needed from her from the jump. When she first got to Outpost 3 in the beginning of the season, I was just like, "Girl, what you gonna do?" Now I'm like, Cordelia might have a good plan. It kind of reminds me, I compared it again to Infinity War of the season having all this like wrapping up together, but also she's playing a weird end game. Yes, she needed the apocalypse to happen, but she knows what she's doing. She's letting all of this play out as she should. So Cordelia bringing back John Henry to then burn people at the stake. Oh my God, that was so great. Oh, hold on. Before we talk about burning people at the stake, we have to get Miss Mead on the stake. How do we get that? Coco. Coco, who is probably the most useless witch of the season. Coco's powers evolved. Oh, hold on. She's not too useless. She can now count the calories in an object of food. She's great on a diet. She's not really great here other than following Miss Mead. Miss Mead's like, bitch, you've been following me, tranquilizer. And then that was part of the game. I liked seeing all of this. So now we have the two warlocks, Azrael and, oh, God, what was his name? Dead guy now who's all a bunch of ashes. B.D. Wong, I liked him. He's gone. Basically, all three of them come together. Cordelia says, as the Coven, I cannot light you guys on fire, but do you know who can? Mr. John Henry. John Henry rolls up in there, lights them on fire. I was really happy to see this whole scene. I was wondering if we were going to get like a witch being burned at the stake. We got two warlocks and a human. That was dark. What a great ending to this episode. My only problem though is once it ended, I was just like, oh, that was it? But where's Langdon's revenge? Oh, next week. Oh, that was my whole thing, is it ended and I was just like, and now another scene. No. That was a little upsetting. It's such a weird dynamic with this episode because I enjoyed everything that happened, but in the grand scheme of things, this was just an okay episode. So I tried to cover everything in this episode. There was not a lot that happened. I still feel like I'm missing something. Let me know down in the comments below if I skipped something. We had the return of Nan, Papa Legba, Coco's new power, then we had the witches burning, we had I don't know, there was a lot that happened, but like I said, I'm just okay on this episode. I'm really excited for next one where we see a little bit, we have a new Evan Peters character, we have Billy Eichner in that hideous wig. Oh my God, those bowl cuts. Those Satanish bowl cuts, oh God. But next week seems like a promising, really fun episode. I really like this one. I like the Voodoo, I like Papa Legba, I like what happened, but next week looks like I'm getting a little bit more. And then hopefully after next week, we're done with these flashbacks. I think we have only like 10 episodes this season. We need to pick up the pace. I want to go back to our present day story and figure out how like Madison and how Mallory and Cordelia are going to fix this because I'm curious of the end game. It seems like they have a plan. Show me the plan. Because I'm nervous that this is just going to be kind of like a building up, building up, building up, and then the finale we're just going to be like, that was okay, okay. No, keep up this momentum. Maybe that's good this was a down week, so then next week I could be shocked again. I like this. I had fun. What did you guys think? What did you think of the episode Traitor? Did you enjoy it? Were you kind of on it like I am? Once again, for a horror story fan, even the most okay episode is still better than most TV. So what did you guys think? Let me know down in the comments below. What was your favorite moment? Are you excited for next week? What's your whole end of the thing? How do you think we're gonna save the apocalypse? Let me know down those predictions in the comments below. I'm excited for that. Also, please give me a thumbs up. YouTube takes those thumbs up seriously, gets me ranked higher, blah, blah, blah. Just give me a thumbs up if you did enjoy this review. Also, don't forget to subscribe. I make videos like this every single week. And if you are new here, after this season finishes, I'm going to be jumping back to Murder House and reviewing Murder House myself. I'm so excited for that. So subscribe if you want to see that. And thank you so much for tuning in to About Last Night. Oh, my cord was hanging out. Looking like Miss Mead with all my cords hanging out. Whoops.